Good evening, everyone. In the first half of '98, I was still in my mom's belly. When my mom was pregnant, her morning sickness was really bad. She was throwing up every day and feeling unwell. She suffered a lot while carrying me. But just before I was born, one night, my mom woke up from her sleep. She suddenly opened her eyes, half asleep. When my mom woke up, she didn't know why. She just suddenly woke up. And after she woke up, my mom saw a person standing by the bed. This person looked like a spy from an old-time movie. They were wearing a long robe and a pointed black hat on their head, and their eyes seemed to be flashing. It seemed like they were wearing glasses. But that's just a feeling. My mom couldn't see clearly. Later, in her memory, it shouldn't have been glasses, and their eyes looked different from a normal person's. Because my mom woke up so suddenly, her eyes shot open in an instant. The man was looking at my mom at that moment. He seemed to be startled. Instead of scaring my mom, the man took 2 steps back. But when my mom came to her senses, she got scared too. She grabbed the blanket and froze. Then she slowly tried to cover her face with a blanket. But then, the man started to walk backward toward the door. He didn't turn around and leave. He backed out. Then he slowly backed out of my bedroom. After the man left, my mom finally dared to scream. Ha ha ha. A scream that woke my sleeping dad. My dad immediately asked my mom, "Honey, what's wrong? What happened?" Then my mom told my dad what just happened. But no matter what my mom said, my dad was convinced of one thing. You must have been dreaming. Actually, my mom was pretty angry at that time. She told my dad that she wasn't dreaming. She was awake. But my dad wouldn't listen to that. I'll skip this little episode for you all. Well, just leave it here. Just keep it in mind. And that's not the main story for today. The main story is the second half. The second half takes place in 2006. I was already grown up. I was 8 years old in 06. My family lived in a small village in Hunan. One day, I was walking around the village. At first, I was playing with a few friends. But as we were playing, these kids ran off somewhere, and I was left all alone. When I was little, I was very timid. I looked to my left and right, by the woods, and I saw a grave in the distance. I suddenly got scared. I turned around and ran back home. I didn't know which way I was running. It was all a mess, but as I was running, I felt someone pulling my leg. And when they were pulling my leg, this strength, I could clearly feel it. It was a person's hand grabbing my leg. And the hand was like it was full of nails, stabbing my calf. Suddenly, I couldn't control myself, and I started to scream. Ah, ah. After just a few screams, the adults nearby looked at me. Then the adults came towards me. As they were walking, the adults didn't know what was happening. They were saying, "What's wrong? What happened? What did you get?" But as soon as the adult finished shouting, my leg didn't hurt much anymore. And in just a couple of seconds, the hand let go. I immediately ran to the adult's side because I knew him. He was a villager from my village. I told him. Someone grabbed my leg. The adult didn't understand what I said. What do you mean someone grabbed your leg?" "Someone grabbed my leg. My leg hurts!" And as I was talking, I used my hand to pull up my pant leg. After I pulled up my pant leg, oh my God, not to mention me, even the adult was scared. On my ankle and calf was a deep handprint. The adult looked at my calf and immediately comforted me. He told me to sit there, and then he started massaging my leg. But this thing, it was indeed very scary, but it didn't cause any harm. The matter passed just like that. As for the mark on my leg, it was gone the next day. It slowly disappeared on its own. Of course, it's also related to my dad not believing in superstitions. My dad insisted that I did it myself. He said there's no way it was anything spooky, so the matter was just put behind us. It was just discussed, and that was it. And then after that, it was a few months later. The weather was getting warmer. My friends and I were playing like crazy outside. After school, we would wander all over the village. Since we were little back then, we would play and forget about a lot of things. And this day, we ran to that patch of woods again. When we got to the woods, to be honest, I really forgot what had happened before. I was just foolishly following them, playing in the woods, catching bugs, catching things and such, picking wild grass and stuff. We were having a great time. But as we were playing, a chubby kid on the side yelled, "Hey, look, there are 2 graves over there. They're connected." I looked over immediately. But as soon as I saw the graves, oh my God, I remembered something. My leg was grabbed last time, and it was right here. I was scared right away, and I immediately told the other kids, "Hey, don't go over there. Let's go." But the other kids, none of them listened to me. They all followed the chubby kid and went towards the graves. The graves were very obvious. They were 2 graves linked together, but the tombstones were already rotten. You couldn't see them clearly. Now that I am older, I think the graves should belong to a couple. And they're definitely not from our village. Before this, there was a village in front, then the village moved away. According to the elders, they said these graves were from that village. But none of this is important. This is all stuff I learned later. I had to get past the situation at hand. I was extremely embarrassed at the time. Standing at the edge of the crowd, I didn't dare to go over, but they were surrounding the bricks of the grave, holding a small stick in their hands and poking at the dirt on the grave. I called out to them from a distance a few times, "Come here, don't go." But none of them paid attention to me. They were still playing there. At this point, I couldn't stand being here anymore. I wanted to get away from them. "You guys stay. I am not getting involved." But I never expected. I had just walked away, not even 20 steps. I saw a particularly thick tree in front, and a man was standing behind it. The man was wearing a scorched black robe. Why did I say it was scorched black? Because the robe was translucent. How long was the robe? It basically reached down to his feet. And he was also wearing a top hat on his head. And none of that was the most important thing. The important thing was that the man had a pair of big eyes. How big were his eyes? Do you know the old light bulbs? They were that big. And these 2 eyeballs had no white in them. The deep black pupils filled the whole eye. I was scared all of a sudden. Who is this? These were all thoughts in my head. I didn't say them out loud, and as I was thinking, I started to back away. I turned around and ran back towards my friends. But my unreliable friends, they'd had their fun with those 2 graves, and ran off towards the fir forest. By then, they had already gotten so far from me. I was just groaning at the time, and I immediately yelled out to them, "Hey! Hey! Wait for me! Wait for me!" Then I used all my strength to chase after them. But not long after I started chasing, the man in the coat, I don't know where he came from, ran again behind a tree in front of me, and stared at me like this. At this point, I didn't dare to run forward anymore, because he was blocking the way. I stood where I was, and immediately started thinking, Oh, it better run out of this forest. And as soon as I made that decision, I turned around and ran out of the forest. Not long after I ran, I reached the bottom of the slope. When I got to the bottom of the slope, I could see in front of me. I could see the entrance of our village. I was so excited at that moment. Run fast, run fast. That's how it was at the time. Just as I was about to step onto the dirt road at our village entrance, I fell with a crash. I fell right there. The reason was what happened again. The same thing that happened more than half a year ago. My foot was grabbed. And it was grabbed at the ankle. It hurt so much when it was grabbed. It hurt so much. But this time was different from last time. Last time I was grabbed while standing still. This time I was running fast. He grabbed it, and I fell. My face hit the ground directly. My last memory at the time was my nose stinging from the fall, my face hurt, and my chest felt tight. Then, not long after, I passed out. I don't know. When I woke up again, I was already at home. When I opened my eyes and started to feel a little, my first reaction was a mouthful of blood. I even tasted it at the time. Gasp, what happened? Then I reached up and touched my face. Oh my God! My nose hurt, my mouth and my face hurt. Then after that, my body started to return to normal. My senses started to kick in. I felt like there wasn't a single part of my body that didn't hurt. But before I could even speak, my mom started talking next to me. Oh my, he's awake. He's awake. He's awake. The child is awake. Then my grandma, my dad, and two neighbors all rushed over. They stood next to me and asked, "Where does it hurt? Are you okay? Do you hurt anywhere?" But at this moment, I am not exaggerating. Even talking was a burden. I won't go into the details of my illness from then on. Anyway, I was sick for many days. I had a fever and no energy. I couldn't eat. Whatever I ate, I threw up, and all my joints hurt as if there were ants crawling inside. My mom, my dad, and my grandma were so worried about me, but they couldn't ask me what happened to me. Because you didn't know how serious the sickness was. I couldn't talk. Until the third day, I drank some rice soup. I felt a little better. I used a very weak voice. I told my mom about this weird thing and the big-eyed black man I saw. I told my mom. When I was talking, as soon as I mentioned the black man, my mom's reaction was even bigger than mine. What? Huh, where did you see him? At that time, I told my mom again, weakly. Then my mom kept asking me about this man. What did he look like? My mom and I compared notes for a long time. Finally, my mom confirmed. The black man I saw. It was the one she saw a few days before giving birth to me. The one she saw. My dad didn't believe in these things at the time. He still thought my mom and I were paranoid. This illness of mine. It's just an illness. Just take the medicine the hospital gave me. To put it bluntly, I was just scared. But my mom didn't think so. She told my grandma the whole story from beginning to end. My grandma didn't know what this was. But grandma was firm about one thing. This must be something weird following me. So, later on, my grandma made the decision herself. An old lady by herself. She ran out and found someone for me. This person's way of healing is very strange. I won't go into detail with you. In short, I was cured in a few days. This person also told my dad and mom something. He meant that before I turn 18, someone must watch over me. Then my mom was confused after hearing that. She asked what was wrong with this person. This is our child. Why is that? that it turns out this person didn't say anything, but he just told my mom, he said. The person in the black clothes that the two of you saw at the same time is your child's creditor. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's story is provided by one of our listeners named Daner. Daner's story, well, it goes back many years. At this time, Daner was studying at a university in Chengdu. When Daner was in college, her mom was a professor herself and was very strict with Daner. So since Daner went to college, she kept urging Daner to join some clubs. Because her mom said, she's been teaching at the university for so many years. Of course, studying is the most important thing. But the atmosphere of the university and some of the activities organized by the school, especially some surrounding activities, are what can truly improve a college student's skills, their vision and ability to deal with people, their overall quality. So Daner, at her mom's request, joined several clubs at first, but she didn't like any of them. But in the end, she joined the news club. He found it was a good fit for him, so he ended up staying in this club. The news agency club met every Tuesday. Every Tuesday at about 5 p.m., the club members at that time would gather in the oldest school building, in a classroom on the 3rd floor. So every Tuesday at 5 p.m., Dan basically had to be there. But after a few weeks, one day, it was a Tuesday night, around 8 p.m., he was in the news agency, discussing things with everyone. Suddenly, at that moment, Don's stomach started rumbling. He probably didn't feel well after eating at the cafeteria that night, so Dan excused himself from everyone and headed to the 3rd floor restroom. When he got there, Dan first pushed the main door open, but when he tried to close the door, it just wouldn't shut. Dan realized this was a problem. If the main door couldn't be closed, then there was a row of stalls he couldn't use. Because this row of stalls was directly across from the door, people walking by could see. While you couldn't see the front, since the door was blocking it, but these restroom doors weren't completely sealed, there was a gap at the bottom. People could still see through the gap. But then there was another issue. If he didn't use the stalls directly facing the door, but the row on the opposite side, that row of stalls had no lights. Dan felt unusually scared. But he had no choice. He was in a hurry. His stomach was rumbling. He had no other option. He could only go to the darker side. He chose the last stall and went in. He went in and was halfway done. Just 3 or 4 minutes later, he saw someone come in from outside. He couldn't see the person's whole body. He could only see their head. The person was skipping. They ran into the restroom, and this person was a girl. She had a bob cut. The haircut was very round. He couldn't see what kind of clothes she wore. He couldn't see, but he could clearly see her bob cut bouncing up and down, up and down. She was happily skipping. Dan thought it was strange. Why was this person so happy to use the restroom? But since he had company, he felt more at ease. But he never expected that this girl didn't care. She went directly to the stalls on the opposite side, and Dan even saw the door of the stall on the opposite side open. At that time, he was thinking, oh, this girl isn't scared at all. People walking by could see. But Dan didn't want to get involved, didn't say a word. She just stared at the girl as she went to the restroom across the hall. At this moment, Daner got curious. How is she going to the bathroom? What's she doing? Doesn't she mind being seen? So she opened her door a crack and looked across. But when she opened her door a little and looked across, oh my God, the girl with the bob wasn't squatting. She was standing inside the stall. She was staring right at Daner. Daner was scared stiff. She almost fell on the floor. Luckily, She grabbed onto the handrail. But at this moment, Daner panicked. She quickly shut the stall door. Then Daner didn't dare to move. Her heart was pounding faster and faster. She didn't know what the girl wanted. After about a few dozen seconds, Daner realized the girl was quiet, so she pushed the door open again to look at the girl. This time when she opened the door, the girl wasn't in the stall, staring at her. Daner first looked up. After she looked up, when she looked down again, she realized the stall was empty. So the girl must have left. But at that very moment, before she could react, the girl suddenly jumped up from inside the stall. After she jumped up, she started smiling at her. Then Daner panicked. Daner was still looking at her feet. Because the stall door was short, there was a gap underneath, but Daner couldn't see the girl's feet. Daner got scared. She quickly finished up. She finished as fast as she could, then pushed the door open and ran out. When she ran out, she couldn't care less about anything else. She rushed back to her classroom. Many people in the classroom were talking. Daner was out of breath as she rushed in. Then many classmates asked her what was wrong. What's wrong? Daner wanted to talk about it, but she stopped herself. She thought, this is college, not high school. You can't just talk nonsense. If you say the wrong thing, people will probably think you're crazy. So she said, it's nothing. There are mice in the restroom. Then her classmates listened, and they told her, this is an old building, so there might be mice. Next time, it'll go with you. Go on. Sit down. Then Daner sat back down. But this matter had been weighing on his mind. He didn't sleep well that night. And after that, for several days, he couldn't stop thinking about it. Then about 10 days later, one day at noon, the Daner was eating in the cafeteria. At the third cafeteria, when he ran into two upperclassmen, a boy and a girl, the two of them started talking to Daner. As they talked, they were the ones who brought up the topic first. They started talking about some of the school legends. When Daner saw that they were open to this, he told them about the bob-haired girl he saw that day, and told them about it. After he finished, the girl said to Daner, "Where did you see her? Was it near the old building?" Then Daner nodded. Yes, I saw her in the old building." The senior girl said to the senior guy very confidently, "I see. I wasn't just talking nonsense. A sister from our department once said that she saw a ghost in the old building. It sounds just like what Daner said." The senior guy also nodded from the side. Then the senior guy said, "I think something is definitely going on in that old building. How about we ask our class advisor about it someday?" This was just a small interlude, but it made Daner very happy. He could finally talk about the weird thing he encountered. He no longer had to keep it bottled up inside. But after this, Daner didn't pay any more attention to this matter. Time flew by. The first semester was over. Then the second semester started. Less than 3 days after school started, Daner ran into this senior girl in the cafeteria again. The senior girl went up to him and pulled him over. Hey, let's eat together. Let's eat together. I have something to tell you." Then Daner followed her to a place with not many people. Then the two of them ate and talked. The senior girl told him, "Xiao Dan, do you remember telling us last year about the bob-haired girl you saw? The one that was hopping? The one with no legs? Do you remember? I am telling you, we found out about it. But you can't be scared when I tell you. But I also advise you, don't go to that old building anymore. Daner listened and realized that he had almost forgotten about it. Then he asked the senior girl, "What? What's going on? If it's too scary, maybe you shouldn't tell me." But the senior girl had already gotten this far. She couldn't hold it in. She told him the whole long story that she had heard, which she told him. This story is very long, so I'll tell you in the simplest way possible. This all started many years ago, before Daner enrolled, at least 8 or 9 years before he enrolled. It was around 8 or 9 years before he enrolled. This school got a new female student. The student came here from Henan to study. But after she arrived, this female student started doing some strange things at school, doing strange things every day. Things like Ouija boards or automatic writing, they did these specifically. As a result, this girl was in her 3rd year of college, when one day, something happened to this girl. And when it happened, there were 4 girls in their dorm. And 3 of them had something happen to them. According to the rumors at the time, after these 3 girls were taken to the hospital, they never came back to school. Many people said they had all gone crazy. You can't forget that there was a girl who wasn't there. There were 4 people in their dorm. The other girl wasn't doing these things with them. During the whole process, this girl was completely clear-headed. She was there. That girl said the day it happened was special. At a little past 9 at night, the 3 of them insisted on playing automatic writing. This other girl didn't want to participate. She was even looked down on by the 3 of them. But the 3 of them didn't care about her. If you're not playing, the 3 of us will. And then they started. But not long after they started, someone knocked on their dorm room door. The knocking sound was very soft at the time. It was clearly a girl knocking outside. The girl who wasn't playing automatic writing got up to open the door. When she opened the door, there was a girl with a bob cut outside. Her hair was a very neat, short bob. She was wearing a black outfit, standing outside the door. At that time, the students at this school knew each other pretty well since they were in dorms. This girl looked like a stranger, so this classmate asked her, "Hey, who are you looking for?" The girl with the bob cut just looked at her, smiled, but didn't answer who she was looking for. She just turned and left. The 3 people playing automatic writing couldn't move their hands. They couldn't leave. So one of them asked the girl, "Who was it? Who left? Who was that?" Then the girl said she didn't know her, didn't know what dorm she was from. So they closed the door. But as soon as they closed the door, not even 20 seconds later, the door knocked again. Then the girl who had just opened the door went to open it again. But this time, when she opened the door, no one was there. But as soon as the door was opened, a gust of air rushed into their room. Especially at that moment, the girl who opened the door felt the strong presence of this current. It gave her a fright. And after that, the remaining 3 who were playing automatic writing went crazy. How crazy did they get? The 3 of them were crying and screaming. They were spouting nonsense. One moment they were cursing, and the next, they were saying a bunch of local words. Because in this dorm room, one of them was indeed a local. The other 2 were playing spirit writing. He's not a local. But the words he said were exactly like those of a local. It instantly scared the girls there. The girls ran to the dorm next door. After they got to the dorm next door, a while later they realized it wasn't working. They then notified the school, but by the time the school staff arrived to take the remaining girls to the hospital, it was too late. So from then on, in this old building, there was always a rumor of a bob-haired girl. Later on, the school built a new building. This dorm was emptied out, and then it became a kind of study hall building. This is what the senior told Dandin. Dandin was listening with her mouth agape. Oh my gosh. So that's why. So according to you, that bob-haired girl was summoned by them playing spirit writing? Okay, friends, today's story is over. Friends, tomorrow's show will be even better. See you tomorrow night.